Hello, and here I, oh, that was a good start. Hello, and here I am again for the next video on my request list. So this video is for you, Justice, and it's for anyone else who is a life path 5 and soul urge number 7. So before I get started, as you know, that life path 5 is the most important number in your chart. It is what you're here to achieve in this lifetime. It is your purpose, and it is going to be your difficulty. It's going to be your challenge, but it's your purpose to achieve, and it's the next step in your evolution. And your life path plus the sub-lesson of your birthday number encompass your purpose, and they are the most important numbers in your chart, and all the other numbers in your chart exist to support that life path. And this, the soul urge number 7, is your motivation that you brought with you to help you achieve your life path 5. So your soul urge number in the 7 energy is you're motivated and driven by the elements of the 7 energy. And there's some elements of that motivation in the 7 energy that will help your life path 5, and some elements that don't help your life path 5, and you will need to step out of your motivation zone and sometimes do a few things that you don't want to do so much in order to achieve your life path 5. Okay, to be more disciplined and make decisions that, sometimes you've got to do things you don't want to do in order to progress. So for your life path 5, your purpose and your areas of development to achieve in this lifetime are about you being adventurous, looking at the world with the eyes of a child and experiencing the world, looking at your opportunities, looking at your options, and then learning, finding a passion from all that experience and all that research and all that looking around. Find a passion to focus on, because you're here to learn focused discipline that leads to ultimate specialism, to mastery. And that mastery, that mastery and specialism will bring you real freedom of choice. And you're also here to learn and develop excellent charismatic communication skills so that you can pass on your mastery, so you can expand your message, so that you can communicate with people and perform your message and inspire them. And of course, as I said at the beginning, you're also very adventurous and scattered when you're a life path 5, and you're here to learn to balance that adventurous, fearless experience side of you, that adaptable, changeable side of you, with your discipline and your mastery and your family. So it's having, it's still honoring your adventurous side, but learning to balance that with discipline for your mastery, and of course supporting your family, because your family are going to be your stable base. So all these elements are not going to be easy for you to achieve as a life path 5, but that is the whole point. It's the next stage of your evolution, and you've got your whole life to work towards the development of your life path 5. Now, your passion, your motivation in the 7 energy is spirituality and using your intuition. So you love spirituality. You're driven to lead a spiritual life. You love to follow your intuition and trust the experienced soul within you. You love to follow and understand and really listen to your intuitive wisdom. And you have faith that your immortal soul has lived before and will live again, and is full of previous experience that you could count upon and use whenever necessary. You're driven and motivated by your own personal inner journey of self-discovery and spiritual development for your own personal spiritual evolution. So, as I always do, I split the life path 5 down into elements, between 9 and 10 elements, which are all the elements that need to be achieved to achieve just that energy. And this is not including the sub lessons here. So you're easily bored, and you want to look around with the eyes of a child, and study many topics and experience many things, and meet many people. And that initial varied experience is needed for you to look at what's around you, and then choose your passion, choose your discipline, choose your specialism, which is not going to be easy for you to do as a life path 5, because it's your purpose to achieve. You're here to learn to be disciplined, to continue with a topic or activity beyond the point of boredom, through the detail detail towards the mastery and specialism that you are here to develop in this lifetime. Excuse me today, I've got terrible hay fever, so there'll be a lot of rubbing of noses, a little bit of sniffing maybe, and maybe even the odd sneeze while I'm going about this video. So your life path 5 ultimately needs you to experience the world and then choose your focus, choose your passion, and study your passion with focused discipline, even past the point of boredom. Now, your Soul Urge 7 motivation energy will drive you to focus on a spiritual or a philosophical or a self-discovery, well, anything esoteric, anything big picture, anything like a big question that helps you understand who you really are as a person, because that is the crux of the motivation of the Soul Urge 7. They love to study spirituality, self-discovery theories in detail, and with equal breadth as well. They find it difficult to focus on any one spiritual subject, which again is not going to help your 5 life path because you're already scattered by nature. So there may be times when your excitement to learn varied wisdom, which is in the 5 and the 7, so double trouble here, could overload you with too many topics, and as your 5 purpose and your 7 motivation energy both struggle to commit and focus to one subject, idea or experience. This can be a difficulty when you're looking to find that mastery. So to support that life path 5, you must focus on that subject of interest with discipline to achieve your mastery. Now, it's going to take time to do that. It's a lifelong journey. So your focus on your inner development in the 7 motivation may drive you to focus on a spiritual self-discovery topic as your mastery. But then you've got to take into account your talent number as well, your expression number, and the other numbers of your chart, what you're working towards. But mostly your expression number needs to be taken into account. But when it comes to your interest in life, it's going to be very spiritual and very esoteric and very self-discovery based in nature. And it's going to be about self-study and research, really, if you're following your motivation in this lifetime. But as long as that motivation supports that life path and you are finding your mastery over your lifetime, then you're walking your path. You're here to develop the ability to balance that variety and change in your nature, that adventurous spirit that you have, with the stability of mastery and specialism, and having that family, having the stability of a family around you that you are in some way committed to in a balanced way, because you can be, as a 5, so totally spontaneous and take such spontaneous, unthought out risks, and jumping from one experience to another, making and losing money easily, going from independence to dependence, never settling, never progressing, and never actually stepping forward. And this is what they need to work past. So your life path 5 needs you to find some balance. So balance that adventurous need for variety and adventure, which you shouldn't leave as a life path 5. You just got to learn to be able to balance that with the stability of family and subject or whatever it is, or topic mastery, whatever that mastery is. Your 7 motivation energy sees variety, change, experience, adventure, all as tools for their inner learning, and they will only do things and experience adventures that they feel may in some way help them in their learning and their self-discovery. They want to do things, they want to experience things that help them to learn and develop themselves further. They're motivated to study and analyze the detail of subject theories that are out there that regarding spirituality and self-discovery. And they're motivated to study and progress to mastery. However, you may struggle to choose that passion because not only are you a 5 with that difficulty already, but because of your diverse spiritual self-discovery interests, this could be a problem when you're trying to focus it down on one subject. And you may not always be motivated as a 5 with a 7 motivation to settle with a family, because you like variation too much, especially if you haven't learned that balance, and you do not like to make commitment as a 7. It's more about yourself and your own inner development and developing yourself, really. It's not really about looking out or helping other people to develop. So You're happy with your own company and you don't really like to commit to others in any way, shape or form, unless it develops you in some way. So support that life path 5 by learning from and balancing from your varied experience, and learning to balance your need for adventure, but also having a stable base and a mastery that you can work on and develop in order to have that stability in your life, as well as still having that adventurous, adaptable, spiritual side of your nature. Um, you can satisfy your need for variation and adventure, but still have and put the time towards balanced focus on your mastery and having them people, that family, that friendship group around you that are going to help you keep that stable base and help you to make that balance in your lifetime. You're here to develop the ability to attain inner freedom and outer freedom, because the inner freedom's got to come first, and you gain that outer freedom by understanding the nature of freedom. You know, people think, and we all misunderstand the idea of freedom, and we think doing what we want is freedom, you know, but doing what you want isn't necessarily freedom, because you can become a slave to your desires, and your desires aren't necessarily bringers of freedom. Freedom and discipline are actually inherently linked, and you need one to achieve the other. To have real freedom in your life, you need one to achieve the other. So your life path 5 needs you to understand that doing what you want may not lead you to real lasting freedom. Your 7 motivation energy means you'll want to do what your intuitive voice tells you to do. You want your decisions and action to support your own inner development, and you're driven to understand the true nature of freedom and discipline. So you're going to look into that link a lot more as a 7. You realize that if you feel that you don't want to do something, then that's likely your intuition warning and guiding you, and you will not do that. You know, you're not going to be pushed into doing anything that you don't want to do. However, you've got to understand that sometimes you've got to do what you don't want, because that is what will bring freedom much further, or real freedom further down the line. Because normally as a 7, if a task goes against your intuitive wisdom or it feels wrong, you won't want to act. Okay, and sometimes you've got to do what you want to do, but you've got to understand the difference between doing what you want and doing what leads you to real freedom. So support your life path 5 by using all that intuition you have, that intuition, that potential intuition as a life path 5, and the motivation that you have to develop that intuition, and using that intuitive wisdom to guide your actions, not necessarily your desires, because as I just said, your desires could ultimately rob you of your freedom. It's about discipline and mastery, and that mastery is what will bring you freedom. And that will sometimes mean spending extra time studying a subject, or studying so deep that you don't really want to, but at the end of the day, that mastery will bring you freedom. You're here to learn to develop your verbal and written communication skills towards charismatic sharing of ideas, as the 5 is all about that. Telling stories, sharing ideas relating to your specialism and to be social, anything to communicate your message and entertain and lift up others and yourself. You have the potential to develop towards being a great communicator, and it is your purpose to do so. So your life path 5 needs you to develop your verbal and written communication skills to expand your mastery and spread your message even further. However, your motivation in the 7 energy means you're not necessarily motivated to pass on all that beautiful wisdom and information to other people. You know, you're about developing yourself. That's where your motivation ends. It would be different for, say, a 3-4-7 who is about helping other people with their energy. But if you're just a soul urge 7 on their own, that 7 energy by itself is not necessarily motivated to pass on your wisdom. But you need to change that up a bit if you're a 3-4-7 or a 1-6-7 or a 2-5-7, because again, you're including other people in your 7-ness here. So the soul urge motivation number 7 on its own, and it's only subtle with the sub lessons anyway, so you're more likely really to be less motivated to pass your wisdom on to others. Your nature prefers lone research. You love your own inner development and just sitting by yourself. learning things and developing yourself, and you won't necessarily feel that drive or motivation to pass that information on as a 7 soul urge. So to support that life path 5, embrace your purpose and learn to skillfully communicate your intuitive wisdom and research to others with passion and charisma. Now this might take you your whole life to develop this, but as long as you're taking steps and working towards this, then you are walking your path. And of course, it's going to depend on your talent number, how well you do here. I mean, you might not be motivated to communicate, and you might be, bring that motivation about by learning that it's part of your 5 purpose. But then your expression number also needs to support you. And if the expression number doesn't support this communication, then that's going to be even harder. Not impossible, because you're never given something that's impossible, but it might be even harder for you to push yourself forward and bring on these and develop these communication skills that you need. So it depends on the other numbers in your chart as well, and that should always be taken into account. So embrace your purpose to skillfully communicate your intuitive wisdom. It may take you a while to develop this, but allow yourself to develop and learn to communicate more with others, and inspire them with your wisdom. You're here to learn to be committed and dependable and do what you say you're going to do. The 5 can be a bit forgetful. They can promise something with every intention of doing it, but they're so scattered and they've got so many things in their mind. They're so chaotic and changeable that just leaves their head, and then they're on to the next thing. So because they're always looking for that next new experience, and that can mean that they never progress. So essentially, your life path 5 needs you to learn to be more committed and do what you say you're going to do. Organize yourself more so that if you say you're going to do something, you can be depended upon enough to actually do that. But your 7 motivation energy is not terribly concerned with committing to others. You know, that again, remember, they're about their own inner development and they prefer to be on their own a lot of the time. They like to be social too. They like to balance that social time, but fundamentally, committing to others or being dependable to others' needs is not something that will be ultimately something that the 7 will be motivated or driven to achieve. I mean, obviously you've got to take those sub lessons into account when it comes to your soul urge number, but fundamentally the 7 isn't about being committed and dependable for others. You put your passion into your own development, which is what you're meant to as a soul urge 7. There's nothing bad about focusing on yourself. Sometimes we all have to focus on ourselves, and the 7 energy is very much about that, and it is your passion and your drive, and developing yourself is going to be ultimately helpful for everyone else around you anyway, because you'll be raising your vibration and hence the vibration around you. So it may not directly help others, but you know, the 7 energy development is still, you know, just because it doesn't directly help others in any way doesn't mean that the 7 energy is not a very important motivation, life path or expression energy to have. So you must you normally put your passion into your own development. You'd rather look inwards than commit to external situations and people, especially commitments that you don't feel develop you and therefore other people anyway. Your forgetfulness in the 5 could be exacerbated then, because you're not really committed to do what you're saying you're going to do. However, your life path 5 needs you to look outside also. Even though your motivation draws you in, your purpose is to step out of your motivation zone here and look outwards that little bit more and develop towards committing to not only your mastery, but the people and places that support that mastery, whether directly or indirectly. Be the person that can be depended on to do what you'll say you're going to do. But again, this is a lifelong journey, and it's going to take you some time to develop this commitment and dependability that you need to achieve. So you're here to develop your social skills and your charisma, and you have the potential to spread your message, to expand and communicate your message and be fun-loving, positive and optimistic. But you can also be quite argumentative and uptight and cause some drama as well. And you're here not to do that. You're here to be positively social and expand and communicate your message effectively. So your life path 5 needs you to develop them social skills and charisma to help you perform your mastery and to inspire others in every way, shape or form. Your motivation 7 energy means that you prefer to work alone and spend time alone. You like to balance your social time too, but fundamentally you're motivated to work alone. You can come across to others as quite aloof, distant and disinterested, and that's not the case at all, but because you hold in your emotions and you don't express yourself authentically all the time, you know, because of your worry sometimes about being ridiculed, you can come across as aloof and distant, unemotional and disinterested. You know, people think you're mysterious, and you know, because you don't like to share too much about yourself, you know, especially beyond surface level stuff. And this lack of motivation to connect with others or share could stop you building rapport with others on any deep level, or any mutual trust. So you've got to learn to connect emotionally with others that little bit more, which, you know, you can do as a soul urge 7, and you can be motivated to do that as a soul urge 7. You can just tip towards, you know, sometimes being on your own, and you need to make sure you're balancing the two. So support that life path 5 by developing towards being more trusting of those around you, accessing that spirituality of yours and your spiritual wisdom as you're developing it through your passions and motivations, and try to be a bit more social, a bit more open, and a bit more emotionally expressive, so that people can connect with you. And you can do this by trusting your intuition more. Then you know you can safely express yourself and share your wisdom and your mastery with your audience, and connect with others to support your life path 5. You're here to develop consistent independence, give and receive in equal measure, because we're all interdependent, aren't we, by nature? But the 5, because they're a bit risky and they don't commit, they can swing from independence and dependent to dependence and back again. You know, they can be independent and running off and leaving everyone, or they can be dependent and, you know, asking for help because they're struggling. And they're quite fearful of dependence as well, which can be quite a difficult thing for a 5 to deal with. But nevertheless, they tend to swing erratically from fierce independence to dependence, which is something they fear the most. And risky behaviour, get rich quick schemes alongside your commitment difficulties is what is not going to help you when it comes to dependence. You know, remember, you're here to help others too, um, and create that interdependency. So your life path 5 needs you to commit. Be more intuitive in your risk taking, and you have the potential to be extremely intuitive in the 5 and the 7, because of that motivation. And you know, you develop what you're motivated to develop, you know, and it can turn into a talent, you know, as you go through your life. So it can be more, your life path needs you to commit, be more intuitive in your risk taking to help maintain that balance of your interdependence. So when you're independent, you can be interdependent. So because you've got enough then to help other people, and then accept help from others, and know that we are all here to help each other. But your motivation in the 7 energy means that you're interested in maintaining your independence fundamentally, because you like to be alone, you like to work alone, you like to study alone, and you like to use your intuition in order to develop yourself. You know, you like your independence, especially when making intuitive decisions. And you may avoid talking about or thinking at all about how your intuitive decisions affect other people, because it really is within your motivation all about your own development. You prefer to rely on yourself rather than other people, which instills that strong independent streak. And you also prefer not to commit yourself to arbitrary societal demands. So, you know, you can struggle a little bit with being interdependent. You can push away and isolate yourself that little bit too much. And in the 5, you can be a bit risky in your decision making, and make and lose money quickly and become dependent whether you like it or not, whether you're fearful of it or not. So to support your life path 5, you must learn to consider and involve others, because that's what the 5 is all about. Commit more and take sensible, intuitive risks in order to gain progression, not just excitement of the thrill of the risk, to gain progression so that you can be fundamentally more interdependent. You're here to be fearless. You're here to help others live more fearlessly too, to step out of your comfort zone and help others to step out of their comfort zone. Because you can be in the 5 fearful of many things and restriction. You're fearful of dependence, you're fearful of restriction, you're fearful of boredom. You're fearful of a lot of things, to name but a few. And many 5s can actually seek solace and look for adventure in films and TV or books rather than actually experience, having the confidence and not letting fear stop them from experiencing these things themselves. You know, the 5 needs to challenge themselves to be past their comfort zone, okay? And they need, in the 5, to develop fearlessness and help others to also live more fearlessly. But your motivation in the 7 isn't really interested in what other people think so much. You know, they're not interested in popular opinion. They're motivated to be brave enough to be themselves and not follow the crowd and follow their own intuition. You know, they're not here to conform. They're not motivated to conform and fit in. You know, the 7 can be very fearless. They're motivated to be, and they're fearless when they're channeling their intuition because they know how true it is, and strong in their spiritual convictions. And they're happy that their life is going just as it should at this moment, as it's the next step in their spiritual evolution. However, when the 7 is in a state of struggle, when your motivation levels are struggling, you could have the tendency to mistrust others and feel that the world is against you. You know, the 7 motivation energy really can be one to look into a lot of conspiracy theories and can feel that sometimes the world isn't doing the best thing for them. And this mistrust can cause them and add to this fearfulness of the 5, and they're being fearful of ridicule from others instead of actually expressing themselves constantly and fearlessly. So support that life path 5 by acting by faith. Act by that intuition. Know that your intuition is true by developing it and trusting it, so that you can fearlessly step out of your comfort zone via your intuitive voice and help others to do the same. Oh, first sneeze of the day. Well, not of the day, it's about my 26,000th sneeze of the day, actually. But first sneeze in this video, which is kind of a good thing, especially how bad my hay fever's been today. Excuse me scratching my nose again. So, sorry about that. So you need to learn as a 5 to be responsible with your time and not be irresponsible with your time. So you're here to learn to make good use of your energy and your drive, because you're very much have the potential to be a go-getter as a 5. And if you feel restricted or underconfident and fearful, you're going to feel a bit restless and a little bit drama queeny, because you'll be looking for drama and adventure through your relationships, through arguments, rather than actually going out there and experiencing proper adventure yourself. So you need to use your energy for experience and adventure, especially at first, and then work it towards mastery and courage, mastery and progression. You know, and focusing that really scattered energy in really good directions is what you need to achieve in this lifetime. Excuse me for the constant itching and rubbing. My nose is going to go very red very soon. So your life path 5 needs you to learn to make good use of your energy and your drive and so that you can experience and experience your mastery and study your mastery. Your 7 motivation means that you're driven to research, learn and study and experience for your own inner development. Experience and adventure are a valuable learning experience for you because they will teach you something about you. But there's only some experience that you consider will teach you something. So you will indulge in the experiences and put your energy and drive into experiences and actions that you feel are going to help you to learn more about you. You're strong, you're free-spirited, and you love to be that way. And you're able to use your energy for your own ends. You know, you're not reliant on anyone else. So support that life path 5 by focusing that energy and drive and your courage, that you have that innate courage, on your passion, on your, it's going to be a spiritual self-discovery passion most likely, but as long as you're focusing on a passion and mastery, you will achieve fundamentally real freedom of choice. And that's what you're here to do in this lifetime. Oh dear. Now, I hope you found this video useful, especially you, Justice, and anyone else that is a Life Path 5 Soul Urge number 7. So if you would like a reading, please contact me. Email's best, but you can also contact me through Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. If you want to learn numerology, I have a course on Udemy that I'm going to put the link to in the description box. And the other course is like just over halfway done now, so I'm getting there. So if you want to learn to be a numerologist, my very long and detailed Master Reader course is coming out soon. If you want to request a video, or just ask me questions, or just have a little chat with me about numerology, I love to hear from you guys. Please contact me on my, you can put comments in the side boxes of my videos, or you can contact me in my email, Facebook, Instagram or Twitter. As ever, guys, and you, Justice, trust the soul within you. Only you know what's best for you.